Of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Today, Saturday, October 14th, we're doing the Player Prop Show. We are joined by Jesse, who looks to be live from SoFi Stadium today. Jesse, how we doing?
We're doing good, man. Ready for some high flying action.
Is that the SoFi Stadium? Is that for the Chargers game or for the Rams game? Because I think there's two home games there this weekend, right?
This is for the Rams Cardinals.
Rams Cardinals. All right, dirty. But I like it. What we're going to do in this show today is we're going to open up the DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going to go through our favorite prop bets. I do want to shout out, last week we did all right. We did 5 of 8. We didn't hit the JJ anytime touchdown. The Richardson one got knocked out. He might have hit that one. Devonta Smith seems to kind of be lost in that Eagles offense for the last couple of weeks, but 5 of 8, we'll take it. That moves our record to 60% on the year. So it's our job this weekend to make sure we get let's hit over 60%.
Stay above 60. Just keep staying above 60.
I'm not sure how many bets we're going to put up this weekend, but it's usually 7 to 8 bets we'll put on there. But we'll hop into the Ravens and the Titans. Do you have any skin in this game here? Are you excited about this London game that we get to wake up to?
Yeah, I think it could be fun. I think Baltimore was very close to having a very good day last week, and just Lamar's receivers just didn't quite connect like we expected it to, and we saw the drops where they led the weekend drops. It was unfortunate, but I think Zay Flowers could show up in London. London's always a weird one. You never know exactly what you're going to get, how these teams are going to recover from the jet lag and everything. But I really like Zay Flowers this week.
Yeah, because before we start, I just want to point out that we want to take advantage of the Titans' funnel defense. You can see this is the total points allowed chart. Tennessee's right here. So they're an average defense overall, but they're green against wide receivers. So you want to play your wideouts against this team. They have a pretty suspect secondary, but everything else, like, you don't run against them. You can't throw the tight ends against them for some reason, which is weird. And the quarterbacks are kind of average. So we do like Lamar in the passing game this weekend. Looking at the touchdowns, who scores?
The Baltimore defense is not a lot of rushing touchdown, if I recall. So Henry leading the way, odds wise, but Baltimore's defense has been, bend don't break. They given up the one receiving touch. We're not expecting Derrick Henry to catch a touchdown, but maybe he stumbles his way in.
Yeah.
So this is a game I'm trying to just thinking about the lay of the land. I think that Baltimore, I think they're going to get ahead in this one, and I think we might see some Tajay Spears.
Oh.
I think this could be another one of those Tajay Spears. I think there's a lot of data out there showing that when they get down Tajay, he leads the backfield. I just think Baltimore defensively, they're good. They're going to know what Derrick Henry is. They're going to be able to stop Derrick Henry, and I think they're going to have to rely on a little bit more creativity if they want to stay in this game.
We were kind of on DeAndre Hopkins last weekend, and he had a really nice game. It was against the Colts, I believe, right?
Yep, India.
Had a great game, and I might be interested in the 175 for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he had the ankle injury to start the year. He was kind of choppy for a week or two, but last weekend he really showed that he's healthy and that he still looks like what DeAndre Hopkins used to look like. So I'm kind of interested there. You can, of course, be interested in the Derrick Henry touchdown. Last weekend, we really hammered the idea of regression, whether it's positive or negative. And you said the Ravens haven't allowed a rushing touchdown. Well, maybe they do. Maybe they do finally allow Derrick Henry to get in there. Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers hasn't scored a touchdown yet, so there's some regression there for you. Maybe he's due for his first career NFL touchdown. I think that's in play. Mark Andrews has been pretty hot. If you don't have Kelsey, you want Mark Andrews lately. That's kind of how it's been. So I don't hate the idea here. There's only 42 points being projected in this game. So each team's going to get 2 touchdowns. I don't know about the 3, so it's kind of tough to pick more than 3 or 4 guys to score a touchdown in this one. Do you like any obscure touchdown calls? Maybe a little Justice Hill, maybe a little Tajay. Look at the difference between Gus and Justice Hill. That seems a little weird to me.
Yeah, it seems like there's a little bit of disparity there, especially after seeing last week. I know we were kind of in awe at how they were using Justice Hill, from an RB usage standpoint. So maybe that's something you could take advantage of.
And I mean, if you want, I could pull up the PFF charts from last weekend, but we did see Justice Hill, I think, get 4 goal line carries out of 5 opportunities. So something to note there with Justice Hill. But let's take a peek here at the passing props in this one. They got Lamar and Tannehill both at 1.5 passing touchdowns, but they're both taking the under, more heavy on the underside for Tannehill. But I do think, again, we kind of mentioned Tennessee's funnel pass defense, and the way that Lamar should have had a nice day last weekend, but they just
Mhm.
struggled with drops. And yeah, he threw an interception or two, but we could see Lamar Jackson in the passing game kind of get, riled back up here. We're not really interested in the yards, I think, in this one. We always want to look at the Lamar interception. Minus no lean here. Could be kind of fun. Maybe take the Lamar over interception. And then, yeah, we really don't care too much. Anything on the passing attempts, completions, anything you want to touch here?
Yeah, nothing that like stands out
Yeah.
abnormally.
I mean, unless you're you're doing SGPs and you're going to do some alternates, I think that's the way to take advantage of some of these numbers. But looking
Yeah,
at the rushing receiving numbers, they got Tajay Spears at 27 and a half, Henry at 65 and a half. Again, they don't have Gus Edwards in here, which is interesting. Lamar at 42 and a half. Are you tapping any of these rushing numbers?
that Justice Hill at 27 is really not. That seems pretty
Yeah.
feasible based on their usage last week. It's just the only thing that I'll note is Titans have been pretty good against the running back.
Hmm.
So I think Baltimore's a good running team though. So I think good running teams, as we saw last week with Indy, can maybe take advantage of this defense.
And I just want to look real quick how many yards the Ravens. So the Ravens do give up
They were
417 yards in 5 games. That's, almost 80 yards a game to the running back position.
mm,
There's an opportunity for Henry to get there. What, he needs 15 carries to get to that 65 and a half. That seems like one of the lower Derrick Henry numbers that we've seen over the
definitely
last year or
is.
so. So that one interests me a little bit. We're
Yep.
going to get in the habit of looking at receptions before we look at yards. Scrolling on down here, they like Chigo Conquo to go over 2.5. They like Chris Moore over 1.5. They like D Hop over 4.5. So there's a little bit of smoke there where maybe we look at his yards and his touchdown. They're saying Derrick Henry over 1.5. They're saying Justice Hill, which I like. Mark
Hmm.
Andrews is kind of under 4.5. Don't think about Nick Westbrook Akine. And then Tajay Spears is even about at 2.5 here. Anything stick out in the receptions column besides Zay Flowers down here at 4.5?
Zay getting hammered as we expect. I think Odell being plus. Odell catches one ball and then he's out for the game last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they were at a point in his career where you just can't expect him to be playing more than a couple quarters, a couple series.
Yeah.
Bateman's not on here, which is kind of interesting. I
Yeah.
assume he's healthy though, right? Like he is playing.
I can double check real quick.
But yeah, just going back to this day, 4.5 catches, it's probably going to be 5 to 6, maybe even 7, depending on, if he can just hold on to the ball.
Yeah, nothing on Rashad Bateman in this one. Odell Beckham was full the last 2 days here, but Bateman's fine. I don't know why he's not in.
Otherwise, yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. Mark Andrews 4.5. He's probably
Yeah.
going to be flirting around that number, right?
Yep. I'm interested in Chigozie Okonkwo. He's been starting to get more opportunities and targets. But I think if I had to pick one from each team, it's D. I'll take D Hop. He could get 5 in the first half.
Yeah.
Because really, no Traylon Burks in this one again. He's kind of the only thing that they got that's going to work against the passing defense here. So Flowers and Hopkins we like. Let's look at these receiving numbers. So nothing really is tilted one way or the other. They do have a Bateman number in here at 14 and a half. That's one catch. So
Right.
people are kind of biting on that one. But D Hop at 58.5, if he gets 5 catches, that's probably happening. I think he hit that in the first half last weekend, and I was like thinking to myself, why didn't we put that on the list? Let's see. There's Zay Flowers at 55 and a half. I think he was right around that number last week. So we're waiting for him to have a deep ball connection with Lamar. That could come this weekend. Do you like any other receiving numbers here?
If you're telling me Chig is taking over 2.5, it's probably an okay number there. But yeah, really, I think this is D Hop versus Zay and in the run game.
I wanted to say last year, I think Okonkwo was like just tearing it up in the efficiency numbers. Like, yeah, he was averaging 14.1 yards per catch on 32 catches. And now he's down to just maybe even 7 yards per catch. So if we start to see him making some of those bigger plays, maybe that could, for him to hit that, he could just do it in 2 catches. So that one's kind of a fun one if you like disgusting tight end bets. Otherwise, Justice Hill at 9.5 as their leading passing down back. Slight interest there. But yeah, I think
the Bateman one, That makes
Bateman, it's
sense.
just one catch. So if you want to play it, I don't hate it.
Tajay, that's, he gets his 2 grabs.
Well, what's his number
There's
combined?
2.5, and it was, I think, just about flat, so
Here we go. So he needs 46.5 yards from Tajay. Um, that's 24 rushing and 20 receiving, and maybe 24 receiving gets him there.
mhm.
Slight interest there. I might be more open to this one because I mean he could bust a play running or passing either way. So that one's kind of fun. And then the Derrick Henry line is 80.5 in this one. What was his? I think people were taking the Henry over 1.5 receptions, and he's only at 10.5. Don't hate that one.
Not
But otherwise,
not
I
the
think we
worst.
spent enough time on this London. Is this in London or is it somewhere else over there?
It's London, yeah.
London. All right.
3
Um,
London games this year.
well, Commanders Falcons. This is not our favorite game of the weekend. 42 implied in this one, so you got to think at least 2 touchdowns on each side. Whoever gets the third should win. Tough matchup for Brian Robinson this weekend, but he's minus 105. Or that's Bijan. My bad. We got both
We got
B
the B-Robs.
in
We got
this
the
one. So I'll
B-Robs.
let you break it down. Who do you like to score in this one?
Yeah,
And
I mean, we're still, we got our Bijan last week on a fun little behind the back catch play, but he still does not have a rushing
yeah.
touchdown. Let's rectify that. Let's get him that rushing touchdown this week. Washington, we saw them last Thursday night. They got exposed. Defensively, just not very good. It's a game that I think Atlanta should be able to do what they want and have their way. And yeah, I mean, on the other side of the ball, you got B-Rob in a tough Atlanta matchup, like you said. I mean, Atlanta, another one of those teams that, I mean, their defense has just been pretty good. And if it sticks that way, they're running the ball. There's not going to be a lot of offensive plays. Not going to be, it's just going to be, a pretty poor environment overall.
I think this one's kind of fun because like it's Desmond Ritter versus Sam Howell. We don't really know where these guys are going,
Yeah, these
but
teams
the
are really
winner
good.
of this game, it's like a huge confidence boost to that team. We know Washington's kind of reeling. There's rumors about Rivera getting fired. So
Mhm.
it's a huge opportunity for Washington to kind of right the ship again. But Atlanta, they're a good team. They're a good team. They need a little bit more from their quarterback in the passing game here. But I think Bijan. Let's see. I mean, we saw the Bears defense or the Commanders defense last weekend just not
Yeah.
not do it. But they're actually okay against the running back. They're allowing wide receivers and quarterbacks to hit.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, when DJ Moore give up a 50 burger to a receiver like that, it's not
but
gonna make things look very pretty.
they use Bijan as a receiver a lot,
Mhm.
so might be a Bijan game here. Any other touchdowns that like this one's tough to pick touchdowns because we just don't know. You got big old Logan Thomas down here who's been running hot. You have is
He
Kyle
looked great.
Pitts going to get his first TD of the year? I'm struggling with the touchdowns on this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to I mean, your safe bet is obviously Bijan.
hmm
Brian Robinson is. If we could tell me that the Washington is going to be up in this game,
hmm
we're going to get the heavy Brian Robinson. But I don't think so. I don't think this is a B Rob game. It's not giving me Brian Robinson vibes this week. So I'm kind of I'm forced to play him in a league, but I'm not loving it.
And I just want to give the people the Falcons have not allowed a passing or a rushing touchdown to a running back all season. They do. They're allowing yards though, 430
Mhm.
yards. That puts them at about like 85 yards per game allowed to the running back. So maybe 60 to 70 yards for Brian Robinson. And if he's going to hit those 60, 70 yards, it is a Brian Robinson game. So maybe if they can run the ball and stay on track with him running the ball on first and second down, I'm open to it. I think the numbers, again, we talk about regression. We don't think the Falcons defense is the best run defense in the league, do we?
I don't know, man. It's 5 weeks in, and the yards are high though. The
Yeah.
yards are high, so I think it's bend don't break in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think if we
Well,
took
I
a
just
peek
want to
at their
look real quick.
yards, we'd see like
How many passing touchdowns? So they've allowed 7 passing touchdowns
mhm.
and 0. That's a good defense, but I'm open to Brian Robinson getting the ball and getting established in this one. So if we're gonna pick one Washington guy to score, it's probably him, though, right?
Yeah, maybe Logan Thomas. They're pretty bad against
The tight
the
end.
tight end. Yeah.
Where's Atlanta on here?
Yeah.
So Atlanta defense. Yeah, they're blazing green here against the tight end spot. So this might be the Logan Thomas spot. If you guys are into a little bit more deeper bet at plus 275, Logan Thomas makes sense. But passing numbers, I don't know if we care about these. They're saying yeah, Desmond Ritter's going to throw one. They're saying no, Howell's not going to throw two. So one for Howell, one for Ritter. Interceptions in this game, they're giving Sam Howell one, but not Ritter. And I kind of get that with the way the secondary played last weekend for the Commanders. I really don't care about the passing props in this game.
No.
Honestly, the rushing receiving props are probably not as juicy either. They're saying Bijan at 68.5. They're saying Brian 61.5. Do you bite on any of these here?
I think Bijan for 70 feels pretty good to me. I would be interested in taking that line.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Robinson is kind of a maybe. It's a maybe situation for me. It's again, I'm curious if Atlanta goes up 2 scores. It's not going to look good for Brian Robinson, but I think Bijan, regardless of the outcome, is going to get work.
Man, that number for Brian Robinson. So they've allowed 430 yards to running backs here in a matter of 5 games. If I'm just doing the math on the calculator real quick, that's 86 rushing yards per game to running backs. We know they want to try and run them. So I just want to be open. I'm open to this number. How many carries does Brian Robinson need to hit that? 15 or 16? 15 puts him right at 4 yards per carry.
What's the number? 61 and a half. The number 61 and a half. They've allowed 3 running backs to get that line.
Out of 5
Last
games.
week, Damian Pierce had 66 on 20 carries.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs had 80 yards on 17. Pretty sure he broke a long one in that one. And then Miles Sanders, 18 attempts, 72 yards.
All right, so the number's looking like you need 16, 17, 18 carries to do so. Interesting.
Possible. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to rule it out.
To me, it's the only way Washington really can win this game. They don't want to although Sam Howell looked good throwing the ball in the second half, I don't think that's the plan. They don't want him to throw the ball more than 30, 35 times. Let's look at the receptions real quick. They're liking Brian Robinson over his 1.5. They're saying under on Bijan at his 3.5. 3 receptions seems fair. Gibson at 2.5. He's been looking good as a receiver the last few weeks. They're saying over on Drake London 3.5. The under on Curtis Samuel, who's been kind of hot as well. Jahan Dotson under 3.5. Kyle Pitts under 3.5. The big man Logan Thomas, dude. Is he for real? Is he a top 5 tight end right now? I don't know. They're also taking the under on Terry. Does anything stick out in the receptions column?
It's unders. I mean,
yeah.
There's one of these Washington guys, if not 2, is probably going to hit that 4 catch mark. You have Curtis Samuel at 3.5. You have Jahan Dotson 3.5. You have Terry at 4.5. Curtis has been the guy. So I think until Jahan proves it, I'm willing to take positive odds on Curtis Samuel hitting his 4 catches. Just if I pull up his game log real quick and see, how many times he's hit. He's got, he's got 6 last week, 7 the week before, and then he had 2 against the Bills. So
2
of the last 2 weeks, he's at 6 and 7 catches. That's
pretty locked in.
Yeah, so to go from 6, 7, catches down all the way down to 3 seems unlikely. I mean, it seems like he is the number 2 right now. Jahan Dotson is not the guy.
Yeah. And even though we don't have to like his role, like it's a lot of dink and dunk weird stuff to Curtis Samuel, but it is being effective right now. And the way that they use him is kind of like how they should be maybe using Antonio Gibson, getting him just quick throws and letting him do some stuff. And who knows? But I do like the Samuel. I like the Logan Thomas. Are we interested at all in any Falcons guys? I don't know why Jonnu Smith's not on here, but I don't know. They're actually kind of liking the London over 3.5. And again, we talked about wanting to lean into that weak Commander secondary. Maybe it's a London game. I could see it.
London.
Let's look at the receiving yards real quick. Nothing really massive here. The biggest one is minus 120. It's to Logan Thomas, of course. They're giving Brian Robinson over 8.5 on probably 2 receptions. Makes sense. Bijan kind of low at 24.5. If he gets 3 catches, Bijan Robinson, man, we saw DJ Moore cut this team up with yards after catch last weekend.
I mean, Bijan could have one really fun screen that takes to 40 yards, takes to the house. Why not? I mean, it's just a matter of time before he breaks loose for a couple long touchdowns, isn't it?
So I'm liking that one. I think if you're liking Drake London to hit over 3.5, you probably have to like the 43.5. That math adds up.
Yeah.
They do have a Jonnu number here at 30.5. I would imagine he needs 3 catches, but 4 would do. So if you're liking Jonnu Smith to be busy in this one, and we pulled up that chart the other night, the Falcons are using the tight end more than any team in the league right now. I think it's upwards of 20 point something half PPR points per game.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so I mean, Jonnu Smith, just to put it this way, I mean, in his 4 games this year, his lowest yardage total is 37 yards. So,
yeah,
I mean, I know that Washington is good against the tight ends, but they're still I mean, they're just a susceptible defense right now.
and well, they played Komet last weekend, and Komet did fine. He got the touchdown for you. I don't know if he got there on yards, but I'm open to the tight ends starting to score points against the Commanders because we saw how bad it was last weekend. So it could be pretty bad. But I don't know. I think we covered this game well enough. We'll move on to.
I'm not afraid of Samuel Overs in general. Is my
Yeah.
takeaway here. He has 32.5 yards was his prop there. He's hit that in 4 or 5 games. On to the next. We probably spent too much time on that one.
And then I'm going to hit this question real quick. We're not trying to do any start sit questions in this one, guys, but we'll answer this one real quick here. Foreman or Rachaad White this week, full PPR, Jesse?
That's actually, I actually might like Rachaad. You might be thinking Foreman on this one, but this is a Tampa Bay team that's actually feisty, and they're playing Detroit in what could be actually a pretty high scoring game. Rachaad, there's not really a receiving back. I mean, maybe Keyshawn Vaughn is all of a sudden taking work, but on pure volume, I think Rachaad is good. If you're asking me like touchdown equity, who scores, Foreman's probably got some better odds.
Lions are sneaky good against the run, but they've had some weird games in there where they took away the run from Green Bay. They had another one in there, so it might be a tough matchup for Rachaad White, but he can get there on receptions.
I mean, Minnesota's given up the yards, not so much the receptions.
The reason I lean Foreman is because there's no RB2. He's gonna get the ball 15, 20 times. He's got no competition at the goal line besides Jay Fields. I'm open to it. But let's move into the Panthers and the Dolphins. I'm kind of interested in this game here. Dolphins picked to win by 14, 47.5. There's going to be probably 6 touchdowns in this game minimum. Which Dolphins score? And if there's one Panther you like in this one, who is it?
Yeah, I mean, look at Jeff Wilson's doubtful. So if there's a game where Raheem's going to get volume like he did against, in the beginning of the season, this is the game, right? It's minus 185. So he's putting one in. So maybe you take that with another of your favorite, touchdown scores, parlay that for even odds, lock that in.
I think we need to note too that the Panthers are right now, they rank 31st in allowing running back fantasy points. They've allowed 8 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving. It's a dream matchup for a Raheem Mostert who's got maybe Chris Brooks as the backup running back.
I was going to say this is my favorite long shot touchdown is Chris Brooks plus 550. I think he gets more run than Salvin Ahmed and Ahmed. Sorry, I don't know how you pronounce that. I also think that if he's going to get work at it's going to be short yardage work. Yeah. This is
in
a second half
in a game where they're going to be up 2 scores in the fourth quarter. All it takes is 1. So I like that call. Yeah, Tyreek. Yeah, whatever.
Is Waddle getting his?
He got it. He got it
last week. He did get it. Yeah, he did. So he's back.
I'm interested in the trend. Otherwise, I can't really take any other Dolphins here. I am interested in the Chuba touchdown, just because Raheem Blackshear is the number 2 there, but he's more of a third down back. So if they do get the ball inside the 5-yard line at any point, it is likely that Chuba is going to be the guy on the field. So I want to note that. They got Adam Thielen kind of low for plus 210, and he's been the guy. I don't know. I know you got a love-hate relationship going on with DJ Chark right now. He could pop off a play. But to me, it's Chuba, Thielen, not really quite sure. Mingo hasn't scored his first career touchdown yet, so I want to say that's coming at some point here. But any Panthers you like besides Chuba?
Yeah, I think Thielen's the receiver for this game. I can't recall the exact stat off the top of my head, but Miami's actually one of the best teams against deep ball receivers. So that kind of has this is the reason why I cut Chark in a couple of leagues. I was contemplating him.
Yeah.
The data doesn't point to deep ball, but they give up that middle. underneath stuff quite a bit. So
Okay, so maybe Mingo plays too then, because
yeah,
maybe we're
Mingo.
using Mingo on a lot of quick hitting passes. Passing numbers real quick. People are smashing. Oh, it just left. People were smashing the Tua over 1.5. I think so. Yeah, both Waddle and Tyreek touchdowns are in play. I kind of like the Bryce Young over 1.5. He's gonna get one. It's just, does he get the garbage time touchdown? Maybe he did hit. He had his best game of his career last weekend. I know they looked like garbage in the first half, but he threw 3 touchdowns. I think the narrative
I
that
think garbage time alone could get him to 2, right?
yeah, so that one he's been throwing the ball well, and I think people have been kind of bashing the Panthers for taking Bryce Young over CJ Stroud a little incorrectly. Bryce has looked good in a not so good situation. Passing yards might be a 2 passing yards day. I think that's in play. I want to look at the interceptions real quick here. They're giving Bryce
Yeah,
one,
Bryce.
but not Tua.
I think 2 could definitely. I mean, I don't. Has Carolina have they picked the ball off at all?
They've got 4 INTs in 5 games. They're one of the stingier defenses. I know they lost. I can't remember their top cornerback at the top of my head here, but they lost their top corner. I think he's on IR still right now.
Is that JC or was that he's the back? He's the second guy, I think.
But I have to
JC.
know. I have to know who it is. He was a top 10 pick. I should know who
That's
this is.
JC Horn.
It's probably JC Horn. Someone on IR reserves. It was JC Horn. Yeah, so they're without him. Maybe we get the interception here. The Panthers have been showing ability to intercept the ball. Rushing numbers real quick. They're smashing Raheem. So I was gonna sprinkle in a little Salvin Ahmed because
I mean 27.5 is nothing.
Before Devon Achane lit the world on fire, Salvon was the 2. So now that he's back and healthy, I don't love putting bets on Salvin Ahmed, but he is there. Chuba at 43.5. People are kind of leaning into that over. And hey, how many carries does Chuba need to hit that?
Give him 10. He's probably got that. I mean, I think he's gonna, 10 to 12. I think that's pretty much a lock in a, who's the backup there? I mean, Blackshear,
and he's not really
like not a
tackles guy.
So. Yeah, no. So I like that Chuba number.
If you told me he hits 12, I'm saying he hits it 10. He's going to need to pop one, like a 10-yard plus gain to get there. But they want to get Chuba the ball. And honestly, Chuba's looked better than Miles Sanders, I thought, this year in the games. It's weird. In my market, on the live TVs, I watch the live game, whatever, on Fox or CBS. I've gotten like 2 or 3 Panthers games this season. And Chuba looks to me better than Miles Sanders does. Let's look at the receptions real quick. They're destroying Adam Thielen, not destroying, but minus 130, and that's over 5.5. So they're giving him 6 catches. Chuba at 3.5. That seems kind of fair. I think I like him for 3 catches. DJ Chark, your boy, minus 125 to catch 2.5. Durham Smythe game. We got a Hayden Hurst. So they don't have an under on Waddle here. I might have to refresh that. But Tyreek, they're saying under 6.5. Anything stick out here for you on these reception totals?
Yeah, I mean, just the way that it's looking, it's unders on the Miami receivers, purely probably because they probably won't need to pass. Yeah. But we've seen Miami kind of just lay it on, right? Like, they're not afraid to just run their offense no matter what the score is. Play like it's 0-0.
Yep.
And just keep going. So I don't think it's 5 catches for Waddle wouldn't strike me.
I was gonna say, when's Waddle's game? When is it the Waddle 8 for 192 and 2 touchdowns? Like,
he's good for him.
It's coming at some point. We know Waddle's really freaking good. This is also, I think, a potential buy low opportunity for Waddle in your redraft leagues because people are still kind of like, nervous about him as a 3rd round pick or whatever. So I do like the Waddle plus 100. It could be fun. Live a little. Receiving numbers, you got to take Adam Thielen over 60. You got to take where's Tyreek?
Week 6, and we're talking about Thielen overs. That's where we're at, man.
Unfortunately, good. I mean, so I told people all summer long, Thielen's probably a guy you want on your team in September and maybe October. I don't know about that in November, but as long as he's playing good, he's playing in our fantasy lineups. And at 60 yards, that's too low. It should be at probably 69.5. So take that number while you can. We like Waddle at 60.5, maybe. Tyreek's a little high, but Tyreek's really good. I think that sums it up pretty well. We should move on to some more fun games here. But But Vikings Bears, just give me your touchdown bets real quick in this one. Do we need to look at the Foreman numbers? We'll do that. Who
Yeah.
scores in this game, and then we'll look at the Foreman numbers.
Yeah, I mean, all plus odds here, huh? I mean, this seems like Madison's gonna fumble his way into one, just based on the Chicago defense being pretty bad. DJ Moore, I mean, hottest receiver in the game right now. Him and Fields just are on another level. So I think plus 135 for DJ Moore is pretty good odds, and what could be a pretty high scoring game, really.
Yeah, it could get loose.
I mean, Jordan Addison at plus 170. That's another name I like.
Yeah.
Deontay Foreman plus 160. These are all pretty juiced odds. And I mean, you got Cole Kmet 260. You know, he's put a few touchdowns down. The Powell.
Can you tell me anything about Brandon Powell?
Yeah, I mean, I know you were last week you were messaging a few times. You're like, dang, who's this Powell guy? You know, he looks fast. He looks freaky.
I remember him from the Rams. So he came over, and there was a couple games where it was like one of their starting receivers, the Rams do 3 receivers. One of their receivers wasn't playing, and this Powell guy would come in, and they would manufacture like jet sweeps, get him the ball quickly, and do some fun things with him. He's actually a fun player. And I don't think Addison or Osborne are like him at all. So they're going to try to this might actually open up their playbook for him and kind of have some fun little wrinkles in there. So I think Brandon Powell could do some fun things. But dude, like this game kind of has a vibe to me. Remember that Bears Broncos game, like week 2 or 3 or something, where Justin Fields lit it up. There was like 4 or 5 touchdowns on that side, and Broncos stormed back. Like there could be like 7 or 8 touchdowns in this game. So the over to me is like if you're betting, your typical spreads, totals, money lines, I like the over in this game. I think that could be a fun call here because like we're liking a lot of these touchdown bets.
Yeah, I think one caveat to this game is
the
weather-wise, but I think the rain. Looking at the latest weather, I think we're seeing most of the rain should be done by, before kickoff. We got winds 15 to 20 with gusts around 30. So, that's maybe the one. Maybe it's a little bit more ground and pound. Maybe we don't see as many deep balls, but I mean, DJ Moore doesn't need a deep ball to score a touchdown. So
no, not at all. So I like this game a lot. We should probably look at, I don't care about the passing numbers so much in this game, but let's look at these numbers. So Madison 51.5. There's your boy Cam Akers. I think Foreman can get there. I don't know how many carries he needs to get there. That's probably 14 or 15 to hit 50. Any quick thoughts on the rushing numbers here?
I mean, the Bears have. Yeah, they have a lot of receiving yards. The Bears, they lead the league in running back receiving yards. So they've actually given up under 400 rushing yards. It's 394 they're at. But like, I still have to think that they're going to be utilizing these running backs. So maybe I like the receptions. I mean, Madison, I see just sneaking down a bit, 14.5 receiving yards. Maybe I like those numbers better. But I mean, the Bears have given up touchdowns. They've given up yards to running backs.
So here are your reception totals. They got Madison under 2.5. There's Brandon Powell over 2.5. People are leaning into that one. Kmet under 3.5. That one's tough. He's been so good this year lately. Like he's been a good surprise. I could see him having a game, especially if there is rain or weather things. Short dump offs make sense. Yep. DJ Moore under 4.5. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, it seems.
I'd take the over on that one. I'll say that he can get that in the first half. The way that he's been playing, and Fields has been just locked in with him. So I do like that call. Your guy, Jordan, are you taking Addison over 4.5?
Yeah, DJ Moore or Jordan Addison for 5 catches. I'm probably taking DJ Moore, to be honest. So
sure,
a plus 100, but I like both of them. I mean, I like both of them to hit. I think Addison, when JJ went out, we saw him get the increase.
Are the Bears stingy against tight end? They did allow Logan Thomas to kind of rumble and bumble over him last weekend. So Hawkinson. Justin Jefferson's just leaving up 10 targets minimum for this team here. So Hawkinson could be involved.
Yeah, I think so. He's going to be a big benefactor of JJ as well.
We'll take a look at the receiving.
People are afraid of this game because of the weather, but I'm not sure the weather is.
It's going to be mild, it sounds like.
I mean, 15-mile-an-hour winds aren't terrible. If you get into 20-mile-an-hour winds, that's when things start to really get impacted.
So maybe so today it's Saturday morning as we're recording this. Maybe the weather should be like Sunday morning, wake up, look at the weather, get your bets in, make sure there's not like a big storm coming or anything like that. But it looks like a light, mild rain, and that shouldn't scare anybody too much here. Anything on the yards real quick for you here? We'll move on to a better game.
Yeah, I mean, Madison Akers, those look like one catch opportunities.
The Akers one for sure. 5.5 is this is almost assuming that Madison hits 3 receptions. I think.
Yeah, I mean Akers needs 1 catch to do that.
Um,
Deonta Foreman 7.5. He's probably not getting. Yeah, I mean Jordan Addison looks great. DJ Moore is under 60. I mean they're really saying the weather's going to impact this game, but I mean I think both those are great lines. TJ Hawkinson, I mean, guy's going to catch like 6-7 passes, and all he needs is 8 yards a catch, and those are good numbers.
But we'll move on to a more exciting game. This is the game that, dude, this game's on, I believe it's on Fox or CBS tomorrow. So this is the game that I'm going to be locked into at the noon games here. Seahawks at Bengals. Is Joe Burrow back? 45 points implied in this one. Again, we have to mention the weather in the Midwest here. It's not the greatest. There's going to be rain. It's been raining for 2 days in Milwaukee. I'm sure it is in Chicago. Pretty similar. But who scores in this one? Jamar Chase back at -110. Are we signing up?
I think we gotta just take it, right?
I will note too. I think Higgins is going to try and play. He practiced in full a handful of times this weekend. It's against my. It's kind of going against my common sense here with the bye next weekend, but we'll see. So I like Mixon, I like Chase. Those are the top 2 Bengals for me. Kenneth Walker's been a stud this year. I can see that. Do we need to look and see what the Bengals allow defensively? Because they've been stingy. They're a good defense here, but they allow tight ends. Is this Noah Fant game?
Yeah, I mean, is Will Dissly playing still? Is he around?
He's around.
Noah Fant has been okay this year.
This is the Seahawks line. They are elite against tight end. They allow quarterbacks and receivers. They're the worst team against receivers here. So it's Chase is probably putting up 30 points. And then the running backs here. So I'll let you take it away again.
Yeah, I mean, Gino's gonna have to throw the ball this game. I think we that's something that I think he's just gonna have to throw the ball. Tyler Lockett has not really had a good game since I think week 2. He had a good game.
Yeah.
Maybe out of the bye, JSN gets a little bit more involved. So curious to see maybe what his numbers look like on the other side. And DK had some weird non-practice issues, but he seems okay. So DK's okay. I mean, these are pretty high odds, and I'm thinking Gino. How many? Can he throw for 2 passing touchdowns this
They're
game?
going to have him at 1.5. I guarantee.
Yeah, and it's going to be plus odds. I bet.
Oh.
Yeah, plus 110. So that's not a bad line here. Maybe I just pivot to that instead of trying to pinpoint which receiver gets a touchdown.
It's the classic. Take the DK separately. Take the Lockett. One of them's going to score. You're going to make money on one of their touchdowns, and the odds that both of them score. We're kind of liking Gino to throw 2 here, so I'm not sure. Let's do the math on this real quick. We got Lockett and DK Metcalf here. If I were to throw just a unit of $10 down on these bets here, the floor is you're gonna make if DK scores, you're gonna make only technically $6, but if Lockett scores, you would make $9. If both of them score, you're going to Applebee's for the Dollaritas.
Look at Noah Fant at plus 500. The Bengals have allowed 4 passing touchdowns to the tight end this year. That is
okay.
That is interesting.
That one might be a fun long shot bet there. I do like that one. I'm also open to the idea of probably looking at his reception totals and his yards because I think that's going to be the leaky spot here. But yeah, I'm excited about this game. This one's got a lot of juice into it. The passing numbers real quick here. They're saying Burrow's getting his 2. I'm not a big fan of the yards because we mentioned the weather potentially here, but interceptions, they're giving both guys kind of the under interceptions here. So someone's throwing an interception in this game.
I think so. Yeah, I feel the same exact way.
Let's just look here at these numbers.
Bengals have 6 INTs on the year, so sign me up for a Gino in.
Oh, and I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was last night I was looking at this. Every Friday I do a quick rundown of the practice reports, the final practice reports. Here's what I noticed. Cornerback out for Seattle, Kobe Bryant. Cornerback out for Seattle, Artie Burns. They had another one that I thought was questionable, but they're down 2 corners, and most teams carry only 5 or 6 of them. So we're going to see some backup duties in there.
Chase is in for another one.
Yeah. So we'll take the over.
Gino, yeah, that's it.
1.5 passing touchdowns and the over interceptions. numbers real quick here in the running game here. They got Kay Walker at 68.5, Joe Mixon 61.5. I think both these guys are in play. I probably lean towards the Mixon because it's a little bit shallower at 61.5. And are we thinking the Bengals are back? Are they in control of this game at home?
Yeah, I mean, this is the final, kind of push. We saw last week was good. It was Arizona. We need to see it against a team that's actually, in it to win games.
Yeah.
So
what I'm excited about is Bengals have a bye next weekend. They could totally change the narrative of their season with a win here. Going into the bye, 3-3. Joe Burrow's back. T. Higgins is back week 8. This is a huge momentum opportunity for the Bengals to play healthy, play a good game, and get to the bye, and then their season can restart. So
yep.
I'm liking the Bengals in this one. Let's look at the receptions real quick. Let's see what Dirty Chase is up to. Did you see the DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase banter?
Yeah, DK said that Kobe Parkinson. What's the
Witherspoon?
Oh, Witherspoon. They said Devon Witherspoon can match him, and then Chase retweeted it, and now they're getting a little.
Also, so I want to spread some thoughts here because DK Metcalf didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. DNPs Wednesday, Thursday, but I wasn't nervous about him not playing this weekend because they had him available to the media. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. If your player is not practicing but they're talking to the media, there's a good chance that they're fine and they're just resting. So I just want to shout that out there. If that happens in the future, I'm not too worried about it because if they don't make that player available for media day, he's probably not playing. So they're giving DK Metcalf over 4.5. They're giving a little bit of Jackson Smith and the Jigba. And then where's Jamar Chase at 7.5?
Yes.
What do we do with this here? You got Noah Fant. Wow, 2.5. He only needs 3.
I'm taking that.
That's fun.
I'm taking that. I think he's played in 3 games this year. He kind of missed, I think, the season opener maybe, but he's got 4, 4, and 2 in his 3 games played. So I think Noah Fant gets his 3. That's a good one.
They don't have T. Higgins in here yet. They also don't have Tyler Boyd. So they're waiting for that final. Yeah, T. Higgins is in or he's out to get those 2 numbers in here. But does Jamar Chase just go over 7.5? The dude had 19 targets last weekend, dude.
I think regardless of T. Higgins playing, I don't think T. Higgins plays this game at 100% level. So I mean,
I'm gonna take it. He's and then just with the added fuel with the Witherspoon thing, they're gonna throw
exactly
15 targets probably. So receiving yards in this game here, where's Noah Fant? 21.5. We're pumping up Noah Fant and it's week 6. What are we doing?
21.5. He has hit that in all 3 games he played.
Yeah, that's 2 catches. So
he has 41 or more yards in every game he's played.
All right. So if you are a streaming tight end, Noah Fant's a play this week.
Yeah.
He's going to get you 8 to 10 points. It seems like, 3 for 40, I think is probably in his floor. And like you mentioned, it was 4 touchdowns allowed to the tight end position. A little bit of smoke there. If Jamar Chase is smashing 6 to 7, 8 catches, do we take the 87.5? Do we like the DK Metcalf? Do you like the JSN? They were kind of liking his over 2.5, and he's at 27.5 yards here. Do you like any of these receiving yards?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to harp on the JSN again. I think that coming out of the bye, we do see rookies, produce. DK didn't practice a couple times this week. I mean, JSN some extra reps. Maybe that just feeds him a few more looks this week, and things start to transition. Ohio State wide receivers in the first round. Just trust it. Second half, it's gonna happen. Whether it's Tyler Lockett getting phased out, or just more of the pie going to JSN in general.
Yeah,
I think it's I'm excited to watch the rookie this week.
I want to look real quick at the Cincinnati. So they have Chidobe Awuzie questionable. I got some guys questionable on defense. So to me, I'm biased, but I think DK Metcalf hits his 61.5. DK Metcalf is usually good for 1 or 2 boom plays per game. But I'm excited about this game. We're kind of spending a lot of time on these games here, Jesse. 49ers Browns.
That's the ugliest game of the week. It's rain and it's wind. It's the wettest, windiest game of the week. So I personally will just.
All right. So take your Christian McCaffrey free square touchdown.
Yeah, with your Mostert. Take your Mostert CMC
Perfect.
parlay.
I mean, maybe we put that on the site this week. A little Mostert McCaffrey double.
If you got to play your guys, you got to play your guys, right? Like Ayuk, you can play him. You don't feel good about it. You hope that he can bust out 6 or 60.
Do we even need to spend time on this game?
I don't think so. I think it's the most question mark game of the week.
I got one for you. Whoo, minus 230 for the interception on PJ Walker. Yikes.
I mean,
yeah. Start your 49ers defense, guys. I just want to
honestly,
do some
Purdy that high could be
interception for Purdy. I don't think he's thrown one all year. So we talk about regressions. They got McCaffrey at 72.5 yards. They don't have a backup running back in here for San Francisco yet. But honestly, I don't feel comfortable betting on much of this game besides San Francisco destroying and the Christian McCaffrey touchdown. So we'll move on.
Yep.
Do you want to pick the next game here? Do you want to dump into that Colts Jags game?
Yeah, Minshew Mania. I mean, let's see. We got to rifle through. These are our minute to win it games, right?
Yep. So fun game here, divisional game in Jacksonville. Jags picked to win by 4. You got a 44 implied point total here. I don't think the weather's as affected here. There might be some rain down there, but I think it's fine. Do you want to pull that up, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, we got the winds are low, so winds are not a factor.
Yep.
More likely dry than wet is the consensus here. So
all right,
we feel pretty good about this one being to be a banger.
So who scores in this one? ETN's been hot. Your Colts defense, they kind of remain a funneled passing defense where you want to start wide receivers and quarterbacks against them. So is this one of those games where you tap the Ridley, you tap the Kirk, you're going to make money on one of their touchdowns and there's a chance both score?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that, especially Zay Jones not in the lineup this week. Kirk had a down week the first time he played Indy. So I think a Ridley Kirk combo feels right. And JT versus Zach Moss is going to be the ultimate question mark as to how much playing time JT gets.
Well, look at this. They're giving Taylor plus 140 and Moss 205. Are we going to see the flip this weekend? Maybe.
It's going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
Going forward, and then it's going to be maybe it's ride the hot hand. Maybe it's just get JT in there and ram him down people's throats. Do you think we get a Minshew pass touchdown, and who is it?
It's got to be Pittman. Otherwise, those goddamn tight ends have been hard to mess. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. How do you pick one? Is it Granson? Is it Ogletree? Is it, it's Mo Cox?
I do want to look at something real quick here. Let's look at the tight end points allowed here.
Jaguars, right?
Jacksonville, they've allowed some good tight end days, 2 touchdowns.
So can you just it's like which tight end do you play?
It's probably not
Granson.
It's probably not investable.
They have 3 tight ends. You can't do it.
So Evan Ingram's yet to score a touchdown this season.
Colts have to give up one.
Colts are allowing. Like the numbers are, if you add some touchdowns to this, like the Colts are allowing receptions and yards to tight end. Like they should be a bottom tight end unit. So talk about this number 0 sticks out. So is there a way where we do the triple stack here? Ridley, Kirk, and Ingram, 2 out of 3 are going to probably hit this weekend.
I think that's fair. I think over 1.5 for T-Law makes sense. I think the regression for Jags passing touchdowns is coming.
Okay. So we'll look at the Trevor Lawrence 1.5 number here. It's just very difficult to bet on Colts touchdowns, guys. I think Josh Downs is an exciting play this week. Obviously, we like Jonathan Taylor, Zach Moss, but good luck with that. I want to wait and see what happens here. I do think it's more of a 50-50 split. Maybe it's a 60-40 split in Moss's favor this weekend still. Pittman Jr. would be the one Colt that I think I would throw a little fun piece at.
But Colts score from many ways. It's a hard team to bet.
Minus 120 for Trevor Lawrence here.
They're taking it.
I think we're taking that one. That one feels pretty solid. Minshew, though, at 1.5. If we like him to facilitate the ball, but they've been running the ball so hot.
Yeah.
So there's probably 2 Colts touchdowns in this game. And again, divisional games are so unpredictable. I'm interested, but it's hard to dive in. Interceptions here, they're giving nobody a pick. Who's throwing a pick in this one?
Yeah, I mean it's plus 114 from Minshew. I think they're just basically just saying we're not. That line tells me their expectations for running is going to be high. Jags have 5 INTs on the year though, so that's
Right here. Yeah.
interesting. Colts have 3. Yeah, I mean, Minshew revenge game. I'm not putting past a turnover for Minshew though.
Sure. Yeah,
He's not afraid. He's not afraid to sling it too. You know what I mean? Like,
so I think that is in play. I really like I think the Lawrence one's in play. I do expect the Jags to put up 3 touchdowns in this game. Jonathan Taylor, 45.5. Zach Moss, 45.5. Thanks for nothing, DraftKings.
they said, hey, we don't know. You don't know.
They said good luck.
Honestly, could both hit that?
Yeah, probably.
If they were plus odds, I'd double tap it, but I'm not double tapping negative,
The difference is people are leaning into Jonathan Taylor, taking the under on Moss. So start Jonathan Taylor this week, guys. If we get any questions, I think Jonathan Taylor's a low-end RB2 flex play. So there you go. ETN at 71.5. The Colts are a funnel defense, so I think I would be more interested in his rushing receiving total than just his pure rushing total. But he's been playing so good lately. Look at these dirty receptions here. They're smashing Calvin Ridley over 4.5. Look at the Josh Downs smash here over 3.5. You also got Michael Pittman Jr. beat up here at 5.5. They're taking the slight over on Ingram, and Kirk's about under on his 5.5 here. What do you like in the receptions totals?
I mean, Kirk over Ridley still. So Ridley's getting smashed. You can't take it, but I think Ridley's good for his 5.
Yeah.
Kirk is probably good for his 5 to 6. So that's probably a pretty good number. Yeah, I mean, Pittman, there's really nothing here that's like sticking out as.
I think this is like, so the reason we look at the receptions is we see what's cooking, and then we're probably going to go like the yards on some of these guys. Kylan Granson, man, he's the tight end that the only tight end here on the board. Let's look at these receiving yards real quick. They're giving Calvin so I'd rather take the Calvin Ridley over 61.5, I think, than his receptions at minus 160. Yeah. I like the Kirk number as well.
Both at 61.5. It's like trading blows.
Yeah. Pittman Jr., man, like for him to get 6 catches and hit that, like I think that connects with me. Josh Downs needs his 4 catches to hit this, but I think it's in play. Evan Ingram's just been racking up yards.
Good. I mean, he's good.
This is all in play. Yeah, I'm excited about this game. This one of the better noon games, and I
think we have some pretty good game environments this week. Weather aside, the environments are nice for these teams to put up some good games.
We're at 52 minutes on the show already. Saints Texans,
we can skip that. Patriots Raiders.
Okay, so it's Jacoby Myers game, revenge game, whatever. I do think
Devontae Adams was scoring a touchdown this week.
The squeaky wheel, Devontae Adams, it's going to be a good one for Devontae. But let's jump into SoFi Stadium here. This game, I've been telling people all week that if you're streaming quarterback, it's Matthew Stafford week here. So we'll probably like his 1.5 passing touchdowns. Yep. Rams picked to win by 7 in this game and a high point total, 48.5. There's going to be probably 5 or 6 TDs in this game. And they're giving Kieran Williams one. Wow.
Minus 10, 210.
All right. Who scores in this one?
Hoo-wee. Yeah, I mean, this is a game where you just kind of, it's going to be pass. Yeah, I mean, Josh Dobbs, I'd like to see his pick numbers because I bet there's going to be one coming. And do we trust either of these Cardinal running backs to score a touchdown? DK says no. So Marquise Brown is probably, a fun play this week. If you have Marquise on your line, in any of your teams, you're probably firing him up. He's probably, last week, he's just looked good. He's just played good. Dobbs has been able to keep him relevant. Rondale Moore is getting used in some fun ways. He's getting those running back snaps. Do we think we see some more of that? And this is just another fun divisional game. I think we're going to get some high scores. Cooper Kupp seems to be the favorite. Is he getting that touchdown, him and Stafford connection back? I want Kupp.
Kupp's he's gonna score this weekend. He didn't get it last weekend. He's getting it this weekend. It's a home game. It's happening for Kupp. I do think Stafford gets to 2. So it's probably 2 out or something.
I mean, you got Higby's in play.
Yeah.
Puka's obviously. I think Puka's just like he's gonna be that chain mover. I think
Okay. So do you do our our patented move here where you take two receivers to score? You take Puka and Tutu. One of them should score. It doesn't feel as strong as some of the other ones that we've talked about today, but
yeah
I think one of them scores.
yeah Tutu's. It's last week. I mean he is their 3. He's their wide receiver 3 now.
Yeah.
I mean look at that -175. So like
So he's throwing two. He's not going to
yeah,
throw. He probably will throw two to Cup now that we do this.
yeah 2 to
But
cut. There you go.
um, you wanted
What?
to see the Dobbs INT.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's
That's clickable.
it is. It's clickable.
What about Matthew Stafford interception? Dude just throws picks. He just throws them.
I mean, he's a slinger, so
Plus 100 could be fun.
we like slingers in high game environments for INTs.
We don't care about the rushing numbers in this game, do we?
Not really, no.
So they do have a DeMercado line up here. They don't have an Ingram line quite yet. Um, I still can't buy into Kieran Williams, man. I don't know what it is.
I mean, Arizona gives up yards, so that's an interesting line.
But that's a kind of an aggressive under.
It is. I know that's interesting. And they're just saying Matt Stafford's going to just go ahead and just slice and dice this week.
Reception numbers, they got Cooper Cup at 7.5. People are taking the under. DeMercado at 2.5. I think he gets that. He is so before Ingram went down, DeMercado was still getting used in the passing game. He was the third down and kind of the 2-minute guy. So I think that role sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they? Keontae Ingram's just not very good. We've
Right.
seen him for a year.
Yeah, it's just not very good.
He's just not very good. So I think DeMercado is still probably the guy that's going to get the most touches here. And he does have, to me, I think he's locked into the receiving role. And honestly, like, who did he share the backfield with in college? Was it Roshan? No. Who am I thinking?
Mercado? Where did he go to school?
That's a great question. Imari DeMercado, college. TCU. So he split with Kendre Miller.
Okay, there you go. Saddleback. That's amazing.
Let's see here. The TCU Horny Frogs. Let's look at their stats.
You're thinking about him as like a receiver? Is that what you're trying to like? What were his?
So they had Kendre Miller last year go off, but DeMercado, man, he put up some good numbers rushing the ball. And as good as we like Kendre Miller, he was still involved as a receiver.
Yeah. Put up 10 receptions in 3 straight years.
3 straight years. So he's a solid pass catcher. Otherwise, there's some Marquise Brown steam here. There's some Kieran Williams. There's Michael Wilson. Look at the Puka Nacua. Wow.
Yeah, 5.5 for Puka seems too low. Probably should be 6.5.
Yeah.
With Cup 7.5. Tutu is the one that getting steamed down. Yeah. They're just saying, he's probably good for 2-3 deep shots.
Yeah.
I think that's about fair.
We might like the Puka yards. Maybe that's where he pops. Or the Tutu yards, my bad. 35.5 for Tutu. That could be done in 2 catches. Mm-hmm. If they're giving Cooper Cup 7.5 catches,
he's probably good for 100 yards this week.
Maybe by half. Because he pretty much hit that in the first half last week.
It's gonna be like a Travis Kelce line where he just like explodes in the first half and then they just like coast.
I do think if they're liking Puka over 5.5, you have to take his 65.5 then.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna. I mean this Rams passing game has been so good, and it's just like the perfect storm for them to just absolutely go off.
Why are they liking Michael Wilson here? They liked his over 2.5, and they like his over 32.5. He didn't have a great game last weekend, but there's a little bit of steam here with Michael Wilson. Marquise Brown, he was hit on his 4.5 overs. He's at 62.5. I think that's kind of a fair line. Anything else stick out for the yards here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about the Rams are actually pretty good against receivers, if I recall.
They're a top 5 team, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's pure volume. It's going to be pure volume. They're expecting them to be down, so not much else to say on this one.
Yeah. Fun game here, but dude, we're at the hour already. Do you have a little time for overtime? Are we going into overtime week 6 here?
Yeah, I mean, if we got time to slip, we're missing what 2 games here. I'm missing
Eagles,
Eagles,
Jets,
Jets,
Lions,
Lions,
Bucks.
Bucks.
Let's just tap the Eagles
Yeah,
real
let's
quick
just
here. Dude,
rip through it.
this was the game where the practice reports I noticed were interesting. The Jets, they are down
Oh my.
1, 2, 3, 4 cornerbacks. 3 have been ruled out. Sauce Gardner
Oh,
questionable with an illness. They're
they're
down half
probably good.
their DB room here, dude. So I think AJ Brown. I think this is the Jets defense is really good, but when
Wow.
half your secondary is out, I take note of that. And then the other thing here is kind of the same thing on Philadelphia side. Um, they've ruled out Jalen Carter. They ruled out Darius Slay. Justin Evans, their safety was put on IR, and then you have another safety questionable here. You have a defensive tackle questionable here. Both defenses banged up. So I'm not opposed to AJ Brown's, Devonta Smith's, things like that. But I'll put it to you: who scores in this game?
Yeah, I mean, this just strikes me as DeAndre Swift. Plus 115. He's been good getting to the end zone. He's probably going to score. AJ Brown is the yard man. Does he slip his way in?
He's just
Probably. I mean, AJ Brown's going to continue his hot streak. That's just the
well,
way.
so this is the game you do our patented move. You take AJ Brown touchdown, you take Devonta Smith touchdown. You're going to profit. There's a chance both hit. This is the game to do it. You take at plus 145 and plus 180. You're going to profit. You know, you're going to profit on one of them scoring, if not both. So I like that move a lot.
Mhm.
Is it Dallas Goedert though? Any love for Dallas Goedert because the fantasy points allowed to tight end? That's where the Jets
Yeah,
allow points. They've
I
allowed
think we. I
5
mean,
tight end touchdowns.
this seeing that Jets injury report just makes me think that this is the Eagles slaughter game.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to do their thing. They're going to move the ball, and you're just hoping that they pass to tight hit Goddard in the end zone from 5 yards out, 6 yards out. Boom, done. Couple deep shots. Devonta Smith hits one. AJ Brown's going to rack up another 100-yard game. I see no reason why this team's slowing down. They're undefeated, and people are kind of like forgetting about the Eagles as being the elite team in the NFL.
Yeah. On the Jets side, though, I did mention, a couple starters out for the Eagles. Brees Hall looks good, plus 170 for him to score. I think you could maybe even try this, and I've never done this before, but you take a Brees Hall touchdown and a Garrett Wilson touchdown. One of these guys should do it because that's really their offense. That's all they have on offense.
This is their offense.
So that one's kind of fun. I think that could happen.
And the Eagles have actually been pretty bad against receivers, and not only that, they're without Slay, right?
Slay, Slay's out.
Yes, I mean
It's a
this
good
could be a Garrett Wilson spot. This would be an
and
interesting DFS stack where you take the Eagles side and you run it back with Garrett Wilson.
I think that's probably the way this is lining up. So I like that. And Charlene saying not touching the 49ers game. It can go either way. No, it's 49ers by a mile. But
Does Charlene know about PJ Walker?
yeah, PJ Walker's starting for the Cleveland Browns.
But it is a messy game. It's a very messy game weather-wise. And
Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns plus 110. Is that going on the site this week?
take it.
Zach Wilson, no thank you. Zach Wilson, INT. They're giving him one, but
Can we give him 2?
not in love with it. Not in love with it. Rushing receiving numbers here. They got Brees a little low here at 54.5, but people are biting that one. Your guy DeAndre Swift at 66.5.
Seems like it's just another too low one.
Yeah, but if we're liking Hurts to throw the ball, it's tough. If it was a lower 60, I think I'd take it. But I think to me, if I'm taking a rushing prop, it's Brees to get that. Let's look at the receptions real
Eagles
quick.
have not allowed a 55 rushing yard game yet. Are we regression or are we staying away? This is at Philly, right?
It's in Philly.
No, it's in New York. It's a different team in New York, man.
We still hit 54.
They'll get there. I think so.
Reception totals here real quick. You have Tyler Conklin getting lit up at minus 160 to go over 2.5. This is the game where you take the receptions, man. You got Devonta Smith at 4.5. You have AJ Brown at 5.5. People are taking the under on that one. we've highlighted the receiving opportunity here for the Eagles, guys. Do you like anything here? Dallas Goedert, maybe 3.5. What do you like?
Yeah, Garrett Wilson 4.5 is sticking out in a game that they're going to be most definitely behind.
Otherwise, DeAndre Swift caught like 6 passes last weekend.
Yeah, 2.5. They're targeting running backs. I mean, that's kind of why Devonta Smith has been, missing out, and Goddard hasn't had his steady games, and Swift is just involved. He's just good. I mean, when he's healthy, he's a good player.
Yeah, so I think we're leaning into the Eagles offense playing well and the Garrett Wilson having to be busy in this game. Receiving yards real quick. AJ Brown at 60.5 feels kind of low, man.
Well, and the weather is no worry in this game. So
Correct.
52.5 for Garrett Wilson. I mean,
Take that.
Yeah, that might be on the one on the.
This is too low for Goddard.
Yeah, they're tapping that. Brees Hall even at 14.5 doesn't feel terrible. I mean,
I'd like to see Brees Hall kind of unleashed in the passing game.
yeah, I mean, I think if they can, if he can just be their second target, I don't think it's a terrible spot for Zach Wilson. Trusting his playmakers. Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson.
So fun game here. Let's move on. We have one more game to finish here.
Last one, Lions
Bucks. Dude, I'm nervous for
in
Jared
Tampa.
Lions. Charlene asks, do you use weather to your advantage? Typically, we shy away when there's rain and wind. That's when we take notice. When the wind is over 15 miles per hour, that's where I get nervous about passing games. I don't get too these are professional athletes. I don't think the rain's like a light rain's not going to affect them. When the rain's really coming down, that's like if I see like heavy rain, thunderstorms, that's an alarm for me. If I see light rain, I'm like, okay, it's fine as long as the wind's not too bad. These guys are good players. They're going to be fine. But definitely when the wind is over 15 to 20 miles per hour, that's where I take note. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, it's both. When both are happening, it's scary, especially over 15 mile an hour with the wet. But like for example, in Minnesota, Chicago, the rain doesn't look like it's going to be pushed up until it's going to be kind of done and cleared up by game time. Winds are trending down, so it might be an opportunity to cash in on some overs that people have been kind of beating down. So maybe you can get some decent odds.
And I like I don't know if you have another resource here, but I like NFLweather.com. It just gives you a quick forecast, the wind, and they highlight the stuff that's bad in red. So, when you have, like chance of rain, 20 mile per hour winds in Chicago, the San Francisco game that we're kind of nervous about. Where did I miss it? Am I missing it?
Yep, the third red game down.
Right here, Cleveland. Yeah. So likely rain showers and 60 mile per hour winds. It's not too bad. Not too bad. I really hate seeing 20 mile per hour winds. But we'll be okay. Lions and Buccaneers. Tough game here for the Lions. Their injury report was bad. Do you want me to pull that up real quick before we dive in?
Yeah, this could be a lost spot for the Lions.
So they've ruled out 6 players: Brian Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonah Jackson, Zonovan Knight, James Mitchell, Emmanuel Mosley. 2 other guys here on defense on IR, and Sam Laporta questionable. Tough game. Who scores in this one though? It's Montgomery as the leader. Amon-Ra could be busy. Do you like a Mike Evans, Godwin? What do you think?
Yeah, man, I think this could be a fun game. It's just on Tampa Bay side, you don't know where it's coming from. Early in the season, Mike Evans, he had the calf strain, so you're hoping he comes back and can look good again because he's kind of been the guy for Baker, and I think it'll continue that way. Amon-Ra with all these injuries could be busy. I mean, he's a good player. He hasn't really. I don't recall him having like a huge game yet this year. So like he's someone who could be due in an environment that could be conducive to a decent. What's the over and under on this one? 42.
42.
It's not a bad spot for a fun game. I just it's road golf, and in a banged up Detroit, it just doesn't give me good feelings all around. So give me my Monty touchdown, get me out of here.
Yeah, I think if they're going to get a Tampa Bay touchdown, I kind of like Godwin. I don't think Godwin scored one this year. I might be wrong on that. Maybe he's got one. But you have Mike Evans coming off of a a hamstring injury. And at his age and the way he plays,
Lingering.
maybe not 100%. So that's all I want to say here. They don't have a Jared Goff line in here because I think they're waiting for Laporta news. Baker Mayfield, though, does Baker Mayfield get 2? Maybe. Rushing numbers real quick here. They got Monty at 75.5. This is probably a Monty 20+ touch game. They're going to grind and pound him. Rashad White. We mentioned the Lions are kind of stingy against running backs here. I think they've allowed some of the fewest rushing yards to running backs here. They've only allowed 248 yards in 5 games here, but there's a couple weird games that maybe skew that total. Let's look at the receptions real quick here. Your Amon-Ra getting hit up here. Chris Godwin at 5.5. People are taking the under. Mike Evans at 4.5. People taking the over. So both Bucs receivers in for about 5. Interesting. David Montgomery. People are taking the over 2.5. I don't think he's got more than 2 catches in a game all season.
Interesting.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that one. Josh Reynolds has been good. Josh Reynolds he's been kind of a saving grace for that Lions receiver room right now, because outside of Amon-Ra, they ain't got nothing. Like Marvin Jones is dust. I think Jameson Williams is probably not what Lions fans are going to hope that he turns out to be. But otherwise, like, we did it. Like, any final thoughts here on the player props? Any bets that you want to make sure people are aware of? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, fun divisional games this week. I think, it's just week 6. It's our weather week. Trying to navigate the discourse there, making sure we're not overreacting or underreacting. Really. But yeah, I mean, I think that Arizona Rams game is going to be really fun. I think Seattle, Cincinnati, get your bets in on those.
Yep.
Minnesota, Chicago, another divisional game that could be fun. I mean, Chicago's hot. Minnesota, they're putting up points, and their defense has been allowing points. So good environment there. If that wind can stay down, I'll be really monitoring that wind.
Yep. Quick question for you. This is one I wanted to look at with you. Does CJ Stroud throw his first interception of the year against the Saints?
And yeah, they go into the bye next week. Is that correct? So this is like, he's got the rookie record. I know you're talking about your regression. They're not.
They're good.
The Saints are good, and they're good against the run too. So it's probably going to be a little bit more of a pass.
7 interceptions on the year for the Saints. Just saying. 5 games.
He wants it.
If you're interested,
122. I mean,
if you're interested, that's all. We'll just lay that in there. But yeah, man, we're probably going to hang out and get some bets put up on the website for you guys. So far this year, we're right at 60%. So we're doing good, but we're due for one of those weeks where everything hits. So I think that could be this weekend for us. We're feeling pretty good. So we're going to hang out and get that up there. You guys can check that out later throughout the day. Jesse, any final words for the good people?
Stay dry this week.
Yeah. Get a raincoat. Yeah, man, it's been raining for 2 days straight here in the Midwest. So stay dry, get your touchdown bets in. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.